when people are not educated. So education is like a bridge that bridge the SDG together, like innovation. So education, talk of level of poverty, level of hunger, injustice, gender inequalities, and all that. The greatest factor that is responsible is education, poor education. So your subject, your theme of discussion is very, very apt and needful right now. Talking about quality education that can serve humanity. Practically, I'm into it, and I know the benefit it is yielding already. For instance, as the principal innovator, the Head Skill Academy for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, we focus more on digital education that can serve humanity in a better way. So talking about quality education for all, we should be thinking about inclusive education. Inclusive meaning anyone, anywhere, at whatever level of poverty or living should access that education. That is the number one factor. Talking about quality education that can serve humanity for now. Number two, it must be accessible. The education should be accessible. There are cases in some places. I saw in one of the film I was watching, a place in around Japan, one of those countries, Asian countries. The access road where the children were going to school is terrible. I don't know if me as an adult can even pass that strange, just a line across mountains. Now look at Niger Delta, for instance. Most of the creeks, that the level of poverty, the level of ignorance is high because they are not accessible to education. So apart from inclusiveness, the education should be accessible. Number three, that education must be affordable. Yes, education that should benefit all, especially the masses, must be affordable. Today, we have a lot of people being left behind. Why? Because they cannot afford the means of education. I am a practical example. I've experienced this. I remember when I grew up, today I tell people that I trained myself in primary school, secondary school, to the higher institution. They never believed. And that was the truth. Because my family could not afford me going to school. I was abandoned in the village to survive anyhow. But I made up my mind. Through hunting, fishing, manual labor, I was able to sponsor myself in primary school, secondary school, and even to the higher institution. Now the question is, how many of our youths out there, our children, can take such a risk? So we need to advocate for affordable education that everyone can easily access, inclusive, and is affordable. Number four, such education should be skill. Skill education is what actually we need right now in our days. When people say there's no work, why is there no work? And they have gone to school. University student, university graduate, they say there's no work. Why? It's because our education is not skillful. So we should concentrate and insist on skillful education that empowers the recipient. You see, most of our youth today, they are calling education scam, because they feel that those who have benefited, those who have gone through the education system, they are not employed. They're not doing anything. Some of them resort back to cadre riding and all that because our education is not skillful. So we must develop the mindset or the program for skillful education that empower the student, the recipient with basic skills for livelihood. So in our case, for instance, the Health Skill Academy, we focuses on digital skills, green entrepreneurship skills that help the people to be empowered so that at the end of the schooling, they have something to hold on. Fortunately, some of our students, even they work while they are schooling with us. They are learning, they are working, and they are earning. That's what education should be if we must help this present generation. So the UN system, the African Union, with the federal government of Nigeria, with Delta states, with our local authority, should look and redesign our education. And I want to say that education should be tailored towards green environment. Most of our educational premises or institutions, the environment is too harsh for learning. So in line with the SDG, the educational system should be made to be in line with nature, green environment. The classroom should be well conducive. The environment should be green, green space, green gardens that people like, people nature like. So that will give some attraction to our youths, to those who are targeted to participate. So that is very, very something that we must think about. Not only that, our education, I suggest, and which is in line with the SDG, must be qualitative. Qualitative. I said it must be inclusive, must be accessible, it must be affordable, it must be skillful, it must be green for attraction, and it must be qualitative. The quality of our curriculum must be reviewed. Yes, of a note, the quality of our curriculum must be reviewed. The era of just going to cram some theories and go and write exam and come out, that is not helping our world. So we see a lot of agriculturists being produced, but they cannot go to the farm to do anything. Engineers, their motor spoiled, they will go and look for another engineer, roadside mechanic, and all those stuff. So education must be qualitative through the review of our present curriculum. Well, those are just some few facts that we must have in mind when we are talking of quality education that can advance humanity and achieve the sustainable development goals of the UN. For this to be done, we have our own part we must play. You as an individual must play. It must start from you. Just as they say, the change begins with me. Some time ago, not too long, I attended a symposium in Ghana, yes, on education. And the whole world had gathered agreed that Africa is left behind because why? We are still in the analog of educational system. Why the world has shifted and is moving on with the digital education, Africa is still in the analog. You go to the classroom, learn, then go back. But the world of education right now is 24 hours, where people can learn, respond, interact, both student and teacher, 24 hours through the internet, through the digital platform. So that is where we must focus on right now. If we must make our education competitive, and so that we can lift the African from poverty, hunger, injustice, and whatever that is affecting us. We must focus on the digital education, borderless education. And that is the focus, for instance, of our institution, the Advocacy Skill Academy for Innovation. So with these few points, I would like to share a video here that some of you can take time to watch. It will help you to understand that nature and that form of education, which is the urgent need right now. I will pause here for some few comments or questions that might come from you. Thank you. Hello?
Thank
Hello?
you very much. Thank you very much,
Okay.
Dr. Amos. If you have any
Yes.
question, you can ask in the chat box.
Yes.
But I wanted to say, you talked about quality education, that it must be accessible, inclusive, affordable, and qualitative, as well
Yes.
as skillful. I wanted you to
Yes.
expand on what do you mean skillful? Do you mean that
Skillful.
from, yes.
Good, good, good. You see, what we are learning in most of our schools, through our curriculum, is not skillful, which means there are no practical skills which the student take home to depend on after graduation or even during schooling. So right now, what is in vogue is skillful education through digital skill, for instance. When you impart digital skill, you make the person to start working through the smartphone, through the internet. We can also inculcate green skill of the agriculture, nature, organic production, gardening, and all that. Okay, so those are some of the examples of skills that are needed in our educational system today that must be inculcated. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. One last question from me before we let you go. I know you said you have another engagement. When still on being skillful, are you saying that we should incorporate skills from primary level all the way up, or you're talking about tertiary education?
I think it could start from secondary school, from the secondary school level. Okay, the primary could be general, non-mathing, but from the secondary school, we could inculcate basic skills that the student can depend on and use. Okay, so from the secondary school, because most of them may not be able to afford going to higher institution, but once they finish secondary school, they should be able to have something, skill in their hand to engage them, say for basis of livelihood. Very necessary. Okay, from secondary through the university, polytechnic, and all that. Yes.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for coming here to share your knowledge with us. I know that you told me you have another engagement, so I want to express my gratitude that you found the time to come here and do this with us. So I'm very grateful. Yes. So I can see a hand is raised. You can unmute your mic.
Okay. You can ask the question.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. I've just watched the video at the background. Your presentation at the UN event. Thank you. I will watch it deeply again and again, sir. Then I will make sure that we share with all our members, because I coordinate an organization called Data to Action Africa. We work with data, and we try as much as possible to compare data country to country. Yeah. So, however, sir, I want to find out, as part of what should be the communique from today's, what can we do as a body to reactivate the technical schools? I remember when I was in secondary school, sir, we have technical components, and it was highly useful. I remember as far back as then, there was no technical thing I could not do. I remember my mom had a grinding machine. As young as I was that time, I was the one repairing that grinding machine, because they taught us in secondary school while I was still in secondary school. So the component, is it that the 6334 is no longer applicable, or is not being effectively implemented, sir? What's actually, because if you look at the curriculum generally, the curriculum actually have those components of the technical aspect. But is it that the system is not encouraging the technicality, or we have the shortfall in the teachers, qualified teachers? What exactly is the problem, sir?
Hello, sorry. Hello.
Did you get my question, sir?
Yeah, yes, I've got it.
Thank you, sir.
Your
Thank
question.
You,
now, the issue is it's like there's a drop in standard of education. Just as you are saying, you are rightly observing. In those days, there were homework and various practical things that students were made to present at school. But today, you hardly see such things. So what your group and our group, us together, has said, we can advocate for the restoration of such habits, of the technical skills, and also to improving even on them because of the present era we are living. We are living in a new normal, in a new era, like the digital era. So we must insist on getting things done. So we need advocacy, positive advocacy, to get our schools, our authority, our policy makers to adjust so that we can have skillful, qualitative, inclusive, affordable, and accessible education. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
It's okay. I'll put my details there, my phone number and my details, so that any other thing you feel we could do together, you can contact me.
All right, sir. Well noted, sir. Thank you, sir.
It's okay.
Thank you very much, sir.
You are welcome.
Yeah, I can see your hand is still okay. Dropped it now. So we can excuse you to go on your other engagement for today. We're very grateful for this opportunity.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
you are welcome.
Moving on to, yeah, thank you very much, sir. Moving on to the next section for this webinar today is we will be talking about gender equality. And I'm very excited for this session in particular because our facilitator for this session is a person who is also a friend of mine or a colleague. He is the CEO of PRO Group in Liberia. He's a geologist by profession, but he's also a gender rights advocate. He's a women's rights advocate, and we've worked together on one or two things in relation to gender and women rights. So allow me to welcome Mr. Rufus Scott for the next session. Mr. Rufus, please, you can unmute yourself and come in.
Okay, thank you. I hope that everybody getting me.
Yeah,
so as you rightly say, I'm Rufus Scott. I'm from Liberia. Yes. So I'm glad to be here today on this important webinar to discuss a topic that lies at the core of human rights and social justice, which is gender equality. So in this section, we will explore the significance of gender equality and the steps we can take as advocates to foster a more inclusive and equitable society. So, gender equality, the first thing we have to know is that
if you're trying to share your screen, we cannot see it.
Okay.
You can share your screen if you have your slides. Yeah.
Go on. Collect this and choose. Huh? I printed this.
Are you seeing it?
Yes, you can.
Okay. So, as I was saying, gender equality is not a mere goal. It is a fundamental right that every individual deserves. It is about ensuring that all gender have equal opportunities, success, and access of resources, and the freedom to make choices without discrimination. By advocating for gender equality, we are striving for a world where everyone can thrive irrespective of their gender identity. Why is gender equality so crucial? First thing we have to understand is that it's all about justice. It's about recognizing and addressing historical and systematic inequalities that have been happening years after years against women, especially, and marginalized gender communities for so long. Gender equality ensures fairness and empowers individuals to fully participate in social, economic, and political sphere. Moreover, we need to know that around the world, countries that have more gender right have a greater economy, improve public health, and enhance overall well-being of their compatriots. By harnessing the potential of individuals, we unlock the wealth of talent, ideas, and perspective leading to innovation and sustainable development. So, as advocates, we need to have a fundamental role to how to encourage people to join our fight. Here are a few steps we can take. Awareness. Education is a powerful tool. By raising awareness about gender equality, its root cause, and its impact on individual and community, we can inspire others to join our cause and take action. Utilize social media, organize awareness campaign, and engage in open dialogue to spread the message far and wide. We need to challenge the stereotype. The stereotype is the limit of individual potential and reinforce harmful biases. As advocates, we can challenge these stereotypes by promoting positive, diverse representation of gender in media, literature, and everyday conversation. We also have to encourage critical thinking and support initiatives that change traditional expectations. The third step is the support of legislation. The law plays a crucial role in ensuring gender equality. Advocate for implementation and enforcement of law and protect individuals from discrimination, harassment, and violence based on gender. Push equal rights in areas such as education, empowerment, healthcare, and political participation. So we also need that the support of government, and people need to understand when a male is also part of this gender equality issue, it will boost the opportunity that goes wider in terms of mobilizing more folks in this support. We need to encourage men and boys. How can we encourage those people? Because most often people think that gender equality, when people talk about gender equality, is all about women issues. It also requires the involvement of all gender, engaging men and boys as allies and advocates in this journey will encourage conversation about masculinity, healthy relationship, and the importance of sharing caregiving responsibilities. Together, we can create a more inclusive and equitable society. Empower women and marginalized gender communities. We need to amplify our voices, especially those of the women and marginalized gender communities, support their leadership.
Excuse me, sorry to interrupt. I can see people complaining in the chat box that your slides are not moving. I don't know if you've moved it yet. Your slides are not moving. It's frozen in one screen. I don't know if you've changed your slide yet.
I've changed it though.
We can still see only slide 3. That's what's on our screen, slide 3.
Wow.
Are you currently on slide 3?
Actually, the last slide actually.
No, it wasn't moving. Maybe you should stop sharing your screen and start again.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me see. Should I continue or I should try to share?
Try to reshare.
It's moving now. I think it's better. It's moving now.
Is it okay?
It's okay
Yes,
right now, yeah. Please.
Okay. So we're on the 4th slide, right? Are you guys seeing it?
Yes, we can see it now.
Okay. I was talking about, I was on the 5th point, empowering women and marginalized gender communities. So there was a need that we amplify the voices of women and marginalized gender communities in terms of supporting their leadership and entrepreneurship initiatives. How can we advocate for equal representation in decision-making and also to process in the position of power and influence? By empowering those community, we are going to strengthen the collective fight for gender equality. To conclude, gender equality is an essential pillar of a just and progressive society. By advocating for gender equality, we are working toward a world where everyone can live with dignity, free from discrimination and oppression. Let us continue to raise our voices, challenge the status quo, and strive by a future where gender equality is not a dream, but a reality. On this note, I would like to thank you all for your participation and giving me the opportunity to share my idea on gender equality. Hello?
Yes, thank you very much. If you have any question, you can raise your hand. Okay, yes, please unmute your mic.
Media, you can unmute.
Thank you very much, sir, for this brilliant, straight to the point presentation. However, sir, based on my little experience, I work with NEPAD on gender issue in Nigeria, of which I went across the entire state and FCT, building the capacity of key stakeholders. Achieving gender equality from the findings requires a lot, from home base to workplace, to boardroom, to religious setting, to every facet of life. I think finding has shown that. However, sir, my point is, I want you to kindly help us juxtapose between gender equity and gender equality, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. First thing first, we need to understand, we need to notice this. Gender equality is not, because most often people think that gender equality is just about women right? But it is a composition of women and men. In the bigger term, like boys, women, girls, everybody. Is about everybody. So your question is the different what the difference between gender equality and gender what again? Hello?
Said, help us to juxtapose between gender equity and gender equality. Thank you.
Okay, the equity of gender when it comes to gender equity is all about having how can I break this down to a very simple level, is about not taking into effect the right of men and women, right? You have the man, the male, and you have the woman. Hello?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. I think I'm okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Hello?
Yeah, I said thank you very much for your response, sir.
Hello?
Can you hear? Can everyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I said,
Hello?
I'm okay. I'm satisfied with the response. I'm okay.
Thank you very much. Is there any other question?
Oh God.
Okay, if there is no other question, I still have one more. I wanted to ask, you talked about, just to add on to the last question, is it really, can we really achieve gender equality in Africa, knowing our traditional settings and how we are in Africa? So is gender equality something we can achieve in Africa, or this is just wishful thinking?
Hello? Hello?
Okay, I don't think he can hear us. Mr. Rufus, can you hear us?
Hello?
Oh, we cannot hear us. Let me just hold on a second.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
We can hear him, but I don't think he's hearing us.
I think the problem is his network.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, I believe so. We're hearing you very well.
Okay. So whenever he comes back, because yes, he has gone off, whenever he comes off, we can continue. Well, we can move on to the panel session now. This session is just supposed to be a discussion between all of us about, what we know about gender equality, what we have learned, as well as quality education, and why it is important to have discussions about quality education alongside gender equality, because we at Delta State Advocate on this program, we felt that we should talk about the two of them together.
Hello?
So, okay, are you back?
Hello?
Can you hear us?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, you can hear us now.
Yeah.
Yes. So the last speaker said he is satisfied with your answer on the question about gender equity versus gender equality. But I was asking, okay.
Regarding that issue, as I was saying, when it comes to gender equality is about law in right, respective of your gender, right? But gender equity is about the difference in the strategy put in place as based on interest. Like this is a lady, she works in this portfolio, and you have another male who works in the same portfolio, but they don't have the same needs. They have diverse needs. So their interest will be that their salary will be based on that diversity of the need. Versus gender equality is all about the portfolio. Whether you are a female or a male, you are entitled to what it is. Everybody is on like the same level, right? Hello? Is the network?
Yes,
We're hearing you. We're hearing you very well.
Everybody is on the same level without with a recognized state on individual with diverse needs, experience, and barriers based on their gender identity. So it is more about identity and all what is attached when it comes to equity, and equality is all about right.
Thank you very much. I asked one last question about whether or not you think it is really possible that we can achieve gender equality in Africa.
Are you getting me?
Yes.
Yeah, you somehow coming in breaking. Can you please repeat?
Oh, okay. I was asking if, in your personal opinion, do you think we can really achieve gender equality in Africa?
Okay. For me, in my personal opinion, I think that we can really achieve gender equality in Africa. Reason being, we have to have this open mind way of doing things where we shouldn't see gender equality as how do you call it, putting men behind, because most often people misunderstand when it comes about gender equality. People see gender equality as we have to put the men aside and the women aside and give more opportunity to women versus men. That's not the case. So first thing first, we need to, because in Africa, we have our traditional way of doing things. By tradition, women have to be at the back. So it will be a very slow but sure process that we have to have males involved, he for she, as we can say, so that this process may be going on smoothly. Because in Africa, we should understand also from one region to another region, things are different. And you understand, like for example, in Liberia, we are more open to gender equality. When it comes to gender equality, people having a more open mind in accepting the fact that we need to have women also fully involved in every state of decision-making portfolio. You understand? But on the other hand, where you have other traditional, rigid traditional issues, it may take more time in addressing that. So the gender issue will not be as systematic all across Africa, but it will be a slow pace based on the region and based on the local tradition and you understand me? So like in let's say Nigeria, for example, it may be a little difficult compared to the tradition way of seeing things when it comes to women versus, as I said, in Liberia or in Ivory Coast or in other countries around Africa, Egypt, South Africa, and so on. So I'm sure that we can achieve that goal, but it will be a slow pace based on said location, taking one location to another location. Hello?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And on that
any
note,
other question?
Yes, do we have any other questions? Because we're moving on to the panel session, and you can stay on with us for this session. So do we have any other question? You can raise your hand. Okay, let's move on to the panel session, and allow me to introduce our head panelist for today, Mr. Engineer Gideon. You can unmute and introduce yourself.
Okay, good day, everyone. My name is Gideon Irobele. I'm an SDG advocate under Delta State, Nigeria. So it's been a wonderful opportunity to be among you and listening to our industrial experts. Indeed, I was very, very marveled. During the speech, I would say that I have learned a lot. Yeah, I learned a lot, you know. I've been in, maybe I've been in so many engagements that's related to the course we are discussing today, but they say that learning is a continuous process. So it's a wonderful experience, and thank you for having me around.
Thank you very much. To start off, my first question for you to start this session is about SDG 4 and 5, which is what we're talking about today. At our last session, we talked about how all the SDGs are interconnected, even though we're focusing on 2 today. So my question to you now is, for gender equality and quality education, if we achieve these 2 properly, how can they help in achieving other SDGs?
Okay, please, I would love to borrow your time for a little while, though I'm going to be brief. So I'm going to kind of have a little rephrase of what the first speaker said. Like in achieving quality education, there's a lot of things that is involved, a lot of stakeholders that's involved, and to be honest, report, not even report, is very, very obvious and evident that our school system, our educational system is deteriorating. Because I could remember when I was in primary school, because I remember when you asked the question, should you start from secondary? No, I believe it should start right from nursery school, because they say catch them young. I remember when I was in primary school, back in the days when the system was a little bit okay. So I was kind of privileged to have some kind of exercises like the crafts, engaging in crafts. As early as I think primary 2, I was able to read and present things, in a crowd of multitude. And those are where the impact our teachers made them. There were sports activities which drew students. So, and when we got to secondary school, I would say that it started dropping a bit. So now coming to the aspect when he said skill, let me use myself as an example. I'm a ceramist by profession. That means ceramics. I know many of you know about ceramics, right? So when I entered the higher institution for my undergraduate degrees, you know, it was a time where we are lacking a lot of things. We are lacking a lot of things. Not that the lecturers or the professors were not, eager to teach, or they were not like they don't have the practical skills, but because a lot of materials, equipment were lacking. So we couldn't do some vital practicals, which, really affected some of us. So, but I was kind of lucky to got an engagement for my internship, where I did an internship with Beliac Ceramics that produce porcelain sweaters. I will tell you that experience changed my life, changed my skills and everything. When I came back for my final year, during the classes, we are about 5 or 4 of us that went for that internship. In the class, sometimes when the professor is talking and there is something, maybe as he is explaining it, is very, very, maybe our colleagues are finding it difficult to understand. He will call upon us and say, I know you guys are kind of aware of what I'm saying. Can you please, in your own, in the layman language, explain to your colleagues? So you see that many people go to school and they come back with brain drain, which is not it, with all the resources that we waste, that we impute in getting this education, which is not really it. If you look at Nigeria, this thing today, if you look at our bill today, okay, you look at our budget, you find out that education is, if not the lowest. So there should be allocation of more budget for education, because as I said in the last webinar, I don't know if I have shared this before. For any economy to go to boom, there are kind of there are 3 principal stakeholders that must be involved, which is 1, the government. 2, you have the industries. Then 3, we have the institution. So when one of these is lacking, then there will be a problem in the economy. That's why most of the West African countries that are experiencing this, you see, if you look at it, there is a leakage somewhere. There's no collaboration between these 3 stakeholders. Because if you look at America, for example, you will see maybe something like Tesla. They want to get, maybe they want to invest something. They want to invest maybe a machine that runs on water, for example. Tesla doesn't just tell its engineers to just go and invest. No, they don't do that. What they do is they gather this money in collaboration with maybe other interested industries. They gather this money. They look for professors. They look for institutions. Now they invest this money in research. Okay. Now those professors will now take those funds and they will now get people. That's where you see scholarship, talking about people who, maybe any of you who have gone to graduate school maybe in the Western world will understand what I'm saying. You see, so when they invest this money, you see that these people are doing this research. Why them at the industry are relaxing and waiting for the result to come out. So these people are doing it. Then when they finish, they now give their return. Sometimes they get even more than what they have been expected to do. Then when they now return to the industry and okay, we have achieved the aim. Now The industry now say, okay, they will now go to government. Okay, this is the money that we invested in this. You will see that government will kind of, okay, this is the money you invested, because they are regulating this, because they are making profit from that, which they are being invested. You see that there will be kind of a subsidy to these people. Don't think Elon Musk got where he is now without the help of government. No, it's not possible. So you see, when we have a skill-based education, it will be difficult for us to be talking about all these unemployment, because right there in school, when you are going, maybe during your undergraduate, you are already going for many internships and other things that will impart your knowledge, that will upskill you, that will give you more expertise. So when you come out, you don't need to kind of start looking for a way, because now when you are coming out, you're already familiar with those the industry. So now it will not be hard for somebody who is coming out of the school for the industry to hire, because the industry have already tested the person during his or her own educational journey. You see, so there will not be this kind of distrust or kind of fear. This person we are hiring now, that want to hire now, is the person going to deliver? So you see, when we have this skill-based education, which is being subsidized, and there is a connection between these three stakeholders I mentioned now, you see that this quality education we talk about today is very, very achievable. And you see that people will be interested in going to get this education, because they know that they are going to get something. Where people get it wrong is that they tend to focus more on the fact that with education, the sole reason of education is getting a job, which is where they get it wrong. Because education, the main purpose of education is to liberate the mind. So when the education cannot liberate the mind again, then the sole purpose of education, I think, is not being achieved. Okay, so coming to gender equality, I will kind of throw a little light on it. When one of our attendees asked a question between the difference between the gender equality and gender equity. Okay, so gender equality in this context now means, kind of a right that people have equal rights. There is a level playing ground. Everybody has equal rights. Okay, Mr. B treat the way what Mr. B is entitled to, Mr. A is entitled to it also. Now, when you talk about gender equity, we are talking about the disparity between these two genders, because we wouldn't lie to ourselves that there is disparity between a man and a woman. That's why they will tell you, people who are inclined in biology will tell you testosterone and the osteosterone. I don't know how to maybe pronounce it very well, but I think I have something like that. So you see, even in the hormones, there is difference. In everything, there is difference. So recognizing these differences and trying to provide help where necessary. In the word of safety, we call it that we have this word we call ergonomics. That ergonomics is a kind of in a place like the layman. This thing is fitting the right man for the right job. For example, you come to an industry, there are jobs that require masculinity. You don't just maybe take a woman to a place where you will have a lifting a lift, maybe a continuous lift, for example, that is beyond 18 kg. I get me? That is beyond 18 kg, you know, that kind of stuff. So you look at these disparities. Okay, this is where this person fits. Okay, this is where this person fits. Let's do it like this. That's gender equity, where everybody will be happy. Okay, so now there's one thing I want to make you understand. Sometimes when we talk about the gender equality and gender equity and the rest of it, some people tend to misunderstand the context. It's not a kind of, it's not a competition between the two genders. That's where sometimes I watch people trying to, you know, all these, some feminists, you know, let me just put it like that, maybe missing the sole purpose of gender equality. Gender equality is not a kind of a competition where you will now come out and be, you know, doing some kind of stuff and you are saying this is, no, you are missing it at that moment. And there is, in every situation, there are ways of doing things. Okay, telling you that gender equality is not achievable in Africa is is a very big lie. Let me tell you, because let me start from example. In the past, I believe, if not in all part of Nigeria, at least in this part of the country, this is the eastern state, you know, the eastern part of the nation. I'm an Igbo man. So then we see twins as an evil thing. I get him. We see twins as evil. So during those days, they kill twins. When they born a twin, they will kill them. But it was stopped by Mary Slessor, right? So, but it didn't just happen all of a sudden. It was all about orientation and negotiations. It started from the grassroots. People were enlightened, you know, people were convinced. It was negotiated that this is not a form of, this is not evil. It's a blessing, you know. No, so when people, you know, what they say, if you can control their mind, you can control them. So when people mindset started changing, it happened one day. It was one person that just said, okay, let me just try this and I will not kill my children. And that is it. That was the end. Okay. Before also, when the most towns or communities in Igbo land, they do it when they deliver a new child, they will take the person to maybe their shrine or to their oracle or their deity and kind of maybe you know, give the person to the deity in a kind of baptism. I don't know what that say. So initiation, the person will be initiation. So, but all these things are somehow history now, because people came and enlightened people. People came and negotiated with people. People came and told people reason to embrace change. So if we can, I mean, every one of us, if we can bring this spirit of negotiation, this spirit of enlightenment, this spirit of, you know, oneness, trying to inform, not kind of impose. You see that gradually we are going to achieve this, even faster than we ever thought. But when you come to a community where you know that okay, maybe this person in their tradition, this person is entitled to 5 women, and these women are maybe seen as their maids or something like that. You just come and you are telling the person, everybody should just, from now on, everybody should marry one wife. Your wife is this, your wife is equal to you, this one. No, that is not it. It's not, you are not going to achieve it that way. The least you the most you can do is achieve war. But when there is a big kind of awareness, enlightenment, and involving the major stakeholders involved. In the last webinar, I talked about the major stakeholders of the major agents of socialization. I believe one of our last speaker mentioned it. You talk about schools, you talk about the family, you talk about our churches, talk about any other places of gathering, your workplace, and the rest of it. All these people need to be engaged. But when you just maybe you come on social media and you are telling a man that his wife is equal to him, this one, that one, you are simply trying to break that home. That is no way to go about it. So I believe if we should go through it the right way, then we are going to achieve it. Now, coming to how all this relates to the other SDGs. Coming to how all this relates to the whole SDGs. When there is quality education, we kind of bring economic growth. And economic growth liberates poverty. And when there is nearly zero poverty in the land, you see that crime will reduce. Because if you look at what is happening around in Nigeria, for example, the trend of Yahoo, and the rest of stuff like that, you look at it and you see that all this trend is coming about because of the economic hardship and the rest of it. So if there should be economic growth, which this quality education will bring, because there are already a connection between the 3 stakeholders and things are moving. You see that nobody will want to engage in, even if there are people who will still do it, because they said in a midst of 12, there must be a Judas. But the rate will reduce drastically. There are people who are, I'm talking to you now, if I should move away from my house now and come out, you see people hanging around, they are ready to work, but there are no works. There's nothing. Even people who are ready to pack, physics, but there is none around as I'm talking to you right now. So in such person, you trying to, persuade the person or trying to convince the person that that person should hold on. It is not really easy, because they say a hungry man is an angry man. So you see, so now, when there is economic boom, there's no poverty, and people will not think of doing any crime. So you see, crime will reduce. Now, when there is this connection or collaboration between these 3 major stakeholders, you see there is already what do you call it, partnership. You see, so when you, for example, if somebody sees that something is working, that's why you see people mostly help people who are already successful. You see, because they're kind of convinced that if this person, I should render this help that this person is looking for, that this person will be able to reciprocate. You can't tell me that you want to borrow 5 million naira, for example, to somebody who have not seen 20,000 naira block in his account before. It's not possible. There's no way you can do that. That's a very big risk. Me, myself, I will not do it. But when you see that, okay, this person is already doing something, Okay, even if the person have not gotten to that point of maybe having 5 million in block, you see that you will be convinced that this person is doing something. Even if this person will not be able to maybe pay at this exactly time, I am very sure that this person will pay this money back. Is still, add to, the quality of life of individuals. So when you look at Nigeria, for example, now, and you see that we are borrowing to service debt, if if Nigeria should go out to borrow more money, if a country who is sane, or have a leader who is in his right senses, unless there is an ulterior motive about it, then you see that this person, you are not going to get what you are looking for. So you see, all these are kind of, they have a root from quality education and gender equality. And when people of different genders, different backgrounds, different, irrespective of who you are being engaged, you see that the government, everything will be working well. You look, take Singapore, for example. That country, they went from low income country to first class country when one of their leaders took over, because he didn't look at maybe this person is my friend, this nepotism and the rest of it. He strictly believes in, this is what this person can do. This is, I believe that this person can deliver this. Then that was how Singapore came to where it is today. So if I continue, I will take the whole day. So I'm going to maybe put a stop here. So if there's any question, I believe the floor is open. You can raise up your hand and I will answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Remember that this particular session is supposed to be an interactive and engaging discussion. So if you still have anything to say on the topic or question, you can raise your hand. Mr. Gideon, thank you for that. You even answered some questions that I was going to ask next. You talked about how we need more budget for education in order to achieve quality education, and how the skillful education shouldn't just be from secondary level, but we should catch them while they are young and start from, primary level. You also talked about how we need to, if there's proper connection between relevant stakeholders, it would help, as well as then you moved on to gender equity, talking about how that means that we should recognize the differences between each gender, as each gender is unique. We should recognize the differences and treat each person as they should be in order to achieve gender equity. And what we understand feminism to be today, or what some mainstream feminists online are saying, is not what we are fighting for, because it is not men versus women or girls versus boys. Gender equity is for all. It is not a competition. And then I like how you said that it is very achievable in Africa for us to achieve gender equality. You mentioned how in the past there were certain traditions that we no longer have today, traditions such as killing of twins, but now we've moved away from that. So we can also move away from our traditions that cause inequality. And at the end of the day, which you rounded up, you went back to my question about how these particular SDGs can help the others. If we achieve this, there would be economic growth. Thank you very much for that. If there are any questions, you can raise your hand. If there are no more questions, let me ask, because of time, I have one more question to ask before we round up. I also wanted to know, in your opinion, talk specifically about the barriers that are stopping us from achieving equal access to education for everybody.
Can you come again with your question? Hello, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay.
Okay, yes.
Go on.
I was asking what are the barriers that hinder progress towards achieving equal access to education for all and gender equality?
Okay, first of all, the barriers, the major barrier now, I can tell you, is lack of funding for our education, because there is already a brain drain in our system. For example, our best heads are leaving the country, both in educational system and other sectors. You look at what happened maybe a few weeks or few months ago when the parliament passed a bill stopping doctors from going abroad, at least 5 years after they have been inducted, So you see that the quality of life these guys have been given is not worth it. And somebody who is expected to, or impart knowledge to the younger generation, for example, the person is, let's say, for example, there is what they call the once was one certain code they will say, if it costs your peace of mind, then it's not worth it. You see, some lecturers coming to classes, they are soliloquizing. You see, because what they are getting, the quality of life they are getting from the job is not worth it. It's not worth that stress. You see somebody who is coming to teach someone, soliloquizing in the class. How do you expect such person to, kind of focus to bring out the best in him or her? Now, the next thing you see is the person sees an opportunity. He leaves the country. So there's a brain drain. We need to, that is very, very important and vital now. We need to invest in our educational system. The government, we need to engage the government. There should be a kind of upscale of the budget for education, because you go to some of our schools now, you don't even have classrooms again. You don't even have classrooms. You don't have educational materials. When I was in my elementaries, when I was in primary school, I remember that we have library. As at that time in my primary school, we have library, and have not even library, we have functional library that every month new set of books are coming. Now, if the educational system is kind of dilapidated, what will be the kind of the motivation of the various parents to send their kids to school? That is it. Because if they notice that, okay, this person, okay, if I send this child to school and I'm spending this money, this person is just coming back with nothing. You see a graduate after years in the university, he comes out and he's looking for where he will learn handwork from somebody who didn't even finish secondary school, which is not in order. Two, you look at some of our schools now, they have turned into agricultural places. It's not even for learning again, because there's no other things they can do there apart from those things. So you see, in almost in every day-to-day activities, especially in our local environments, local communities, you see children, they are going to school with holes, because that's the only thing they can do. There's no place to even learn. Some of them are learning under the trees. So we need to, first of all, tackle the root source, which is the government should invest in education. If anybody tells you that government has little to play in this, the person is lying to you, because they are the major stakeholders. So I don't know if that should that answer your question.
Yes, thank you. But the question was on major barriers, and you have said that the major barrier is funding. And to tackle this barrier, they should upscale the budget. So quickly, we have a few more minutes. We have a hand raised. Opeyemi Media, you can unmute your mic. You can unmute your mic.
All right, thank you very much. I was actually logged out for some time, perhaps network from my own side. My question is this: what can we do? I'm thinking ahead because I want us to have a coalition today. It's not limited to Delta State. It's not limited to national body alone. I'm thinking of continental coalition. What can we do to push for more budgetary allocation for education? One, what can we do also to encourage corporate organizations to invest heavily in quality education from community to community? Now, when I say corporate organization, I'm also including churches. My colleague just returned from Rwanda. In Rwanda currently, if you have a church, it's expected of you to be able to do certain corporate, you invest into the education of your immediate community. You can find out. So what can we do? Churches, companies, mosque, what can they do? I remember long ago, churches had the best quality education for free. But nowadays, to get quality education from churches, you have to pay heavily. What can we do? Can we push for a bill at the state and at the national level? Thank you. In fact, going forward, even under AU, what can we do?
Okay, thank you for your question. That's a wonderful one day, I must admit. Are you hearing me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hello,
hear
can
you.
you hear
I'm
me?
listening, sir. I'm listening, yeah.
Okay, I said, thank you for your question. That's a wonderful one there. Okay, to be honest, I have to be honest to you because I'm always trying to, I don't like painting words, you know. First of all, we have to start from the grassroots. And that grassroots, we have to do a lot of, you know, negotiations. We have to do a lot of collaborations. We have to do a lot of awareness and, you know, sensitization. First of all, you can't just push a bill yourself. No, it's not possible. You have to engage people who can help us. I remember in one of the courses I took on leadership, that's what we call, there's two types of problem we face in our day-to-day activities, in our day-to-day life. We have the technical problems and we have the adaptive problems. These technical problems are kind of the problems that we are already programmed to solve it by ourselves. For example, you wake up, you already know that you feel something to eat. So that's, you know, time to get a food. You already know that that's not a kind of something you need someone else to do. Or maybe you need a corporate body or any other external this thing. So you have already been programmed that when you wake up, that you have to eat. You have to maybe arrange your rooms. Those are technical problems. Now, when we talk about the adaptive problem or adaptive challenge, it talks about a problem that involves different stakeholders, and those stakeholders have their different constituents. Okay, that's where you have we have what we call I've forgotten the chart, but I will still remember maybe before I finish with what I'm saying. So in those places now, we are kind of stakeholders in that chart now. Now there are people that we are representing, which are our constituents. Then there are people who are in our front, you know. So this is a problem that requires professionalism, that requires extra hands. It's beyond what we can solve. That's why we have to seek for help. So now we have to engage people, maybe our local, what they call it, councillors from the local governments in our PGs, in our local, different communities. From there, we can form a force. Okay, we now go to, from there, from local level, go to states. From there, we can push to the federal level, because if you also want to jump to the federal level, it's not going to be achievable in that way. So when you come to churches, we have to engage them also. We have to explain to them. We have to enlighten them on the need to invest. Also, when I said the government have a role to play, why? Because sometimes almost everything falls back to government, because nobody wants to invest in a place where there is no peace, where there is crisis. You know, you see what is happening in different communities today. So people are afraid to invest, you see. So when they invest, they also expect a return on their investment. But we can, in our own little way, engage these people to see reasons with us. I believe I've touched a little with your question.
Hello, sir. My brother, let me clarify certain things. History is very important. I remember when all these Anglican churches, CAC, when they all came to Nigeria, they came with gospel, with education, and with health. But what is it because of population now that all those benefits are no longer there? They use those instruments that time to win majority for Christ. But nowadays, it's no longer there. My thinking is, we are not actually, we can, of course, churches, mosques, religious bodies cannot educate all the children. But what of the indigent community children? What are we doing about them? Now,
okay.
If you look at the Nigeria Multidimensional Poverty Index released November 16, 2022, you will see the number of out-of-school age children. And I look at it that this is how we are going to continue. And we are, in fact, apart from quality, even quantity education is not even there, let alone, today we are talking about the issue of the quality. So my own is that we can borrow from Rwanda strategy. We are not saying that when you invest in your education that you should, but there must be something you are giving back. Everything should not be about profit, marginal profit, optimal profit. It was not there at the beginning. So that's my thinking. I know we cannot jump to the national to push the bill. Wherever we want to push the bill, we can even start from house to house, community to community, local government to local government, then we'll push it off. But we need to do something. You and I understand that.
I'm sorry, I have to interrupt because our time is up.
If we don't do anything, posterity will count on all of us at the end of the day. Thank you.
Mrs. Yolo, please, can you just give me a minute? Let me respond to you. Please, I understand where you're coming from. I understand where you're coming from, Mr. Payewe. So let me just quickly chip in this, okay? That's why I said also, almost everything is fallbacks to government, because if there is the place now you are mentioning about, now I follow him a very Mr. Kagame, Paul Kagame. I follow him from even or maybe 10 years ago. I've been following him, following his leadership and this thing. You see that there is, if you look at Rwanda today, there is regulation.
Okay, excuse me, sorry. We have your details, so we can definitely continue this conversation, but I've been signaled that we have to end now. So I want to thank everyone we would definitely, and to answer your question directly, yes, we can form a coalition, we can work together, and we would continue this conversation now. I want to thank everyone for coming for this and your active participation, and I hope we have been able to learn a thing or two. Thank you very much. We'll be ending.